Hello dear learner, I welcome you to the lecture 4 of week 6 and the title of today's lecture is Ecofeminism. First of all, I will discuss the concepts which will be covered in today's lecture. First is what we understand by ecofeminism. Second, objectives of ecofeminism. Third is who are the important proponents of ecofeminism and what are the key features of ecofeminism. Then what is the state of ecofeminism in India and what are the different types of ecofeminism. So with this I come to what we mean by ecofeminism. Now ecofeminism is a variety of feminism that examines the social, political, epistemological and conceptual linkages between subjugation of women and exploitation of nature. So, as the name suggests, ecofeminism, that it combines on the one hand ecology and second it combines the feminist or the woman issues. So, it is a type of feminism that understands the linkages between environment or nature and woman at multiple levels, at the epistemological level, then at the conceptual level, at the social level, political level, economic level, at multidimensional level. These linkages are understood and these linkages are understood in terms of subjugation of women and exploitation of nature. It connects theory with practice, like we have seen in our week 1 that how all the critical traditions have emphasized on connecting theory with practice, which means it not only challenges the above linkages of domination at the level of theory, but also in real life situation. So, when we are challenging injustices, when we are challenging all types of discrimination, it has to be done at two levels. It has to be done at the level of theory. We have to develop the counter narratives to the present justifying narratives of exploitation. And at the same time, after challenging at the theoretical level, we have also to find out methods and means by which it can be challenged at the practical level. How to end those oppressions, how to end the subjugation of women, how to develop solutions which can end the subjugation of women. So, it aims at developing practical solutions as well as challenging those structures of domination and subjugation at the theoretical level. Third is, it is both an ideology and a movement. So, as we have seen that like all the critical traditions, the ecofeminism is also an ideology and a movement, because it is not simply giving an elaborate understanding of ideas, but also it is a movement, and you can say that the entire branch or the discipline of feminism could develop because of the various feminist movements and struggles which have taken place across the world at different periods of history. Now, for example, if we consider the environmental degradation as feminist concern, then we can understand that how ecofeminists have underlined the masculine mindset at the foundation of all forms of domination over women and nature. So, they have understood the domination of both women and of nature in terms of the masculine mindsets or the patriarchal mindsets which has been responsible for the domination of women, as we have understood in all types of feminism. But when we are making a study of the degradation of environment, we find that the same patriarchal mindset of domination is also responsible for the degradation or domination of environment. So, there is a very strong linkages between the subjugation of women and the exploitation of environment. Now, ecofeminism has three important objectives. Obviously, the first is to empower women, to end all type of subjugations, to highlight them and to find solutions about how to end, and the objective is to empower the woman. Then protecting the environment, because our environment has already suffered tremendous all types of degradation because of the so called the capitalist model of development or wrong models of development having no symbiosis with environment or other spaces on this earth. And the third is to emphasize the role of women in protecting nature. So, it is not simply making a criticism of what is happening, but it is also pointing towards the constructive or the productive role of women in making the environment safe or greener and the knowledge they possess about the various types of biodiversity. Now, the term ecofeminism was first used by François Dubon. It evolved out of various movements and protests like the feminist, peace and ecological movement in the late 1970s and early 1980s. The origin of ecofeminism can be traced basically during 1970s, 80s, where there were so many movements and those movements were related to feminist cause. They were various types of peace movements and they were also environmental movements. So, they all helped in the evolution and formulation of ecofeminist ideas. Now, some of the important proponents of ecofeminism are Vandana Shiva, Maria Mais, Greta Gerard, Karen J. Warren, Ariel Sala, M. Miller, Rosemary Hennessy and Chris Ingram. Now, ecofeminism provides a theoretical framework that helps in understanding the interrelationship between operation of woman and nature and also provides solution to the concerns of women in nature. So, it is having a twofold objectives and it provides a theoretical framework. It provides the theories, the concept, the constructs to understand that how the operation of woman and nature are interrelated with each other and also how the solutions are also interrelated with each other. Because if the problems have their origin in the same issues, their roots at the same place, then of course the solutions will also be having lots of similarity. Now, ecofeminism is based on the fundamental assumption that social and economic structures are not separated from each other, like how capitalist patriarchy have led to aggravation of gender injustices in the society. So, there has been a type of conventional understanding that social, economic and political sphere are separate, but we know that they all are not separate, they are very much interdependent and interrelated with each other. And we can see that how the establishment of the capitalist model of development has led to grave injustices or discrimination against women in the social sphere. So, the social and economic and political, history, cultural, they all are actually interlinked with each other. Ecofeminism is not only distinct from other forms of feminism, but it also draws from them various concepts and approaches. So, ecofeminism, though it is a particular variety of feminism, but at the same time it draws from all types of feminism, and whether it is liberal feminism or radical feminism or cultural feminism or the socialist feminism, that is postmodern feminism or post-structural feminism, there are multiple types of feminism, and ecofeminism tries to draw some or other elements or features from all these types of feminism, but at the same time it is distinct of its own, having its own variety and features from all other types of feminism. It provides a critique of the present capitalist patriarchal structure, which considers both woman and nature as resources to earn profit. So, basically the central unit of criticism of ecofeminism is capitalist patriarchy structure or patriarchal structure, because patriarchy was already there since time immemorial. And this patriarchy has been, it was responsible for all types of the gender discrimination in the society. Now, the establishment of capitalist system has combined with this age old patriarchal notion, and it has given rise to a new form of domination by making a lethal combination of the capitalism and patriarchy, and it has led to the rise of a new type of system which is known as capitalist patriarchy, as has been highlighted by Vandana Shiva. And in this capitalist patriarchal structure, both women and nature are considered as resources. They can be used, expended and thrown away, and they are just like commodities to earn profit. They are considered as mere the resources and not something which is living organism. Now, the key features of ecofeminism are, as I have already explained, that it explores the connection between domination of woman and nature, how in different ways woman and nature has been dominated. It questions male biased Western views about woman and nature. So, it is not simply Western ideas which have dominated this type of practices, but it is Western male So, you can see there are two important elements which has been highlighted by ecofeminists, that it is not simply Western, but even in the West we find that it is male views or male perspective that is responsible for all this system and structures that dominate women and nature. And the third is it provides alternative views and solution to prevent these injustices, because without providing solutions, without providing alternative perspectives, the entire exercise is meaningless. And we have already read in our week 1 lectures that one of the important objective of all critical traditions is to provide solutions, is to develop certain means and methods by which all types of discrimination and injustices can be ended in the society. Now we will discuss about types of ecofeminism. The first type of ecofeminism is the radical ecofeminism. Now the radical ecofeminism believes that the patriarchal society equates woman and nature to degrade both. It considers in the similar parlance both woman and nature, and they consider both of them as resources, and therefore they degrade both, they use both of them as commodity. Patriarchal dominance must be studied with an objective to end the association between woman and nature. So, woman has been traditionally associated with nature, they are considered to be emotional, they are the caregivers, they are entrusted with the duty of nurturance, they are mothers and they are child bearers. So, all these type of values and emotions have been associated with mother and also with the nature, because nature also sustain, it also provides us with all sort of amenities and resources, it also nurtures us. The feeling of compassion, care and nurturance are associated with both woman and nature. So, the objective is to end this association between woman and nature, to emancipate women so that they are understood as equal human beings, and rather than men or women having certain distinct qualities or features. So, patriarchal dominance must be studied with an objective to end the association between woman and nature. And the second is the cultural feminism. Now, it is totally opposite to the radical ecofeminism. Cultural ecofeminists believe that women have a clear relationship with nature because of their gender role and biology, because of their certain biological composition, because of their certain gender role or social role in the society, they are more closer to nature. Therefore, it upholds the qualities associated with women like nurturance, care, emotions, which makes them sensitive to nature. So, therefore, it is very clear that on the one hand the radical ecofeminists say that we have to make the woman separate from the nature, and the cultural feminism, they want to eulogize the association of women with nature and say that these qualities are woman specific and they needs to be preserved and they needs to be recognized. Third is the material ecofeminism. It considers material condition as responsible for the gender inequality in the society. Now, this is also known as the Marxist form of understanding the present degradation of environment and also gender subjugation in the society, and it considers that how institutions like labor, property and power have been sources of domination over women and nature, how woman has been used as cheap labor, how women's labor has been unpaid in the domestic sphere, how in the public sphere the women have been paid actually less than men, and what type of inhuman conditions under which the women and the children have to work in the factories. And also in terms of property rights, women, they do not have access to private property, and if you see that what percentage of women they have access to private property, we find that the percentage is very less in comparison to men. So, therefore, this right to property or right to equal pay or right to human conditions of work or right to power, these are some of the important parameters, or you can say the determinants to understand what is the condition and what is the position of women in the society. So, therefore, it has been highlighted by the material ecofeminist that material conditions play a very important role for propagating the gender inequality in the society. Now, I would like to mention the development of ecofeminism in India. Now, important movements like Chipko Andolan, which started in 1974, and Narmada Bachao Andolan, they were two movements where women played a significant role in fighting for the preservation of environment, social justice and freedom. Now, these two movements are very famous and they are cited across the world to understand how the local people or the marginalized people or women have played a very important role in terms of protecting their environment, or in terms of fighting for their rights, in terms of fighting for their lands, in terms of fighting for their cultural rights or social security, etc. So, these two movements have been very important to understand ecofeminism. In Chipko Andolan, as the name suggests, women of the Raini village of the present Uttarakhand state, they consolidated themselves, and by hugging the trees, they prevented the timber merchants from cutting them. So, when the timber merchants, they came for establishing certain industry or for some commercial purposes, they came to cut down the trees, and the women of that village, they organized and they devised a very novel method of preventing the cutting down of trees by hugging the trees, and they said that if you want to cut the trees, you have to cut ourselves first. So, therefore, that became the picture of a woman hugging a tree and preventing the timber merchants to cut them is a very good example of ecofeminism, and Gaura Devi was one of the prominent leaders of Chipko movement. She helped in consolidating the women of the villages to come forward and protest by hugging the trees. So, it is a very good example or case study of ecofeminism. The second is the Narmada Bachao Andolan. Now, the Narmada Bachao Andolan, it began in 1985. It was basically organized and started to protest against the construction of big dams across Narmada river, leading to large scale displacement and the negative impact on environment and the violation of rights. So, because of the big dam which was getting constructed, that is the Sardar Sarovar Dam on the Narmada river, because of the construction of the big dam, there was large scale actually displacement taking place, and it was also having the negative impact on environment and also violation of rights. So, there was a massive protest against the construction of that big dam for quite a number of years, and we all are aware that Medha Patkar was an important leader who helped in organizing and steering the Narmada Bachao Andolan. Now, another very prominent thinker and writer who has played a very important role in developing ecofeminism, and her name is Vandana Shiva. She is considered as a pioneer of ecofeminism in India in modern times. She emphasized through her work the role played by women in Indian society towards preservation of environment, and how their knowledge and contribution towards maintaining biodiversity has been sidelined by modern paradigm of development. So, she has basically highlighted two important things through her work. First is the role played by women in the preservation of environment, that is how much knowledge of biodiversity or agricultural practices they are having, and second, how they have helped in maintaining and what is their contribution towards having a proper greener ecosystem, and how this knowledge and their contribution has been sidelined by the modern capitalist model of development. So, she has given numerous critiques from multiple perspectives about this violation of rights by the modern paradigm of development. Now, I would like to mention some of the important works of Vandana Shiva, and some of the most important work are: first, Staying Alive, then Ecofeminism, which she has written with Maria Mais in 1993, or the Democracy, it was published in 2018, and Violence of the Green Revolution, which was published in 2021, besides many other books she has written. Now, what are the chief concerns of ecofeminism? As I have already explained, rise of capitalist patriarchy. Patriarchal mindsets have been responsible for domination of men over women and their exploitation for years. So, it has been there since time immemorial. Patriarchy has been one of the important reasons for the male dominance, male superiority and the subjugation of women and violation of their rights. But with the rise of capitalism, especially new liberal policy, it has given rise to new forms of domination and discrimination in the economic domain. Capitalism has combined with patriarchy to reinforce and expand this domination, leading to rise of capitalist patriarchy. So, this is the central unit of criticism or the subject of criticism in ecofeminism, because they believe that both the patriarchy and the capitalist model of production is based on certain system of domination. It is based on certain values which promote subjugation, which promotes exploitation, which promotes a type of using the others or those who are weaker and marginalized as commodities, as resources to earn profit. So, certain values which are common or which are unique to both capitalism and patriarchy, that helps in promoting domination, extracting profit or to utilize others for the fulfillment of one's own vested interest. And the lethal combination of capitalism and patriarchy has led to so much of exploitation, so much of discrimination being practiced in the name of development, in the name of modernity against both women and nature. So, this is one of the central concern of ecofeminism. Now, capitalist patriarchy has reinforced violence against nature and women. Now, this violence, as we will see in our next lecture, that how multiple forms of violence at multiple levels have been perpetuated against both nature and women. This has increased as our society has become more developed, as we are becoming more modernized, as we are using more science and technology. We are finding that this exploitation is increasing and it is taking newer forms. As such, we are facing the evil consequences of the degradation of environment in the form of climate change, in the forms of flooding, in the forms of tsunami, earthquake and so many other things which are happening around us, and which is taking so much toll of our both property and our lives. But still we are not serious about all these environmental concerns, and still we are not taking adequate steps to address them. So, the ecofeminists, they argue that the new liberal policies, they are not conducive because they are non-sustainable, unjust, gender biased, undemocratic and violent in nature. They are non-sustainable. Now, what we mean by being sustainable? Sustainable means that which not only sustains us, but also sustains the future generation along with the preservation of environment and other species or maintenance of biodiversity. So, we have to evaluate whether the capitalist or new liberal model of development has been sustainable or not. Second, it has been unjust. It has promoted tremendous injustices, inequality in terms of distribution of wealth and resources in the society. If you have a look at the data, analyze the data, it is very clear that a large segment of the world's resources and wealth is controlled by a minuscule section of the population, whereas a large segment of the population is compelled to thrive on a very minor portion of the resources or wealth. So, and this vast inequality in wealth is increasing as we are getting more modernized, as we are becoming a developed world. We find that this discrimination or this inequality in wealth is increasing by leaps and bounds. Gender biased, which we are already studying in ecofeminism, that it has promoted new forms of discrimination against women. We will study about it in more details in our next lecture, that how it has promoted various forms of gender discrimination, what are the values that helps in reinforcing the gender discrimination, etc. It is undemocratic. It is undemocratic because it has led to unequal distribution of resources in the society. It is undemocratic because it is not involving all sections of the society in the making of decisions, and it is violent. It is violent because it is perpetuating discrimination, domination, exploitation of both the resources of the nature and also the human resources, those who are from the marginalized and those who are from the poor, yes, segments of the society. Now, if you have a look at the data, it has been found that with the adoption of new liberal policies, violence against women has increased and it has taken on more brutal forms. If you see the data of NCRB, you will find, or for that matter any data which is being provided but by some official agency, you will see that the violence against women in multiple forms has increased over the years. And it has got certain connection with the type of economic policies which are being implemented by the state or the society. So, there is a connection between the new liberal policy and the violence against women, and the alarming fact is that this violence is taking a more and more brutal form, as we can see from the various happenings and from the various news about the violence against women which comes to us from time to time. So, with that I come to the end of this lecture with a couple of activity questions which are based on the concepts which I have taught in this lecture. The first question is, what is ecofeminism and what are its objectives? What are different types of ecofeminism? What is capitalist patriarchy? Mention ecofeminism with reference to India. So, these are the questions which are based on what you have understood in this lecture. Now, there are certain statements and questions which I have put forward to you so that you can think about it and develop your own answers, like why violence against women is increasing. Do you believe it has any connection with the model of development, for example in your own country? Do you think that women are closer to nature than men? Would you associate values of nurturance, care and emotions only with women, or they are also associated with men? So, there is no feminine or masculine values, they are both are present in a mixture in both men and women. So, what is your opinion? How do you think about this? You have to explain with some examples. So, with this I come to the end of this lecture. Thank you very much.